Hello again. Welcome back to the news and now to some other story. Now, like most teenagers, her dream was to break the jinx of poverty and perhaps bring pride and smiles to the faces of a poor family. 90-year-old Ama Nyaniba'S is faced with no choice. Now, she must survive through the hardest way after migrating down south where many think has greener pastures. But she's not alone. Her 11-year-old man's baby, delivered to an unknown man, unfortunately is subjected to the same ordeal, passing the night in the shade under the mercy of the weather. Ignatius Ano tells this touching story, which reflects the lives of several innocent adolescents on the streets of Accra.
Her struggle began a little over a year ago. She was fed up. Her parents had virtually left them at Winneba in the central region, along with her 4 siblings to their fate. And in line with a common practice in her village, she was put in the care of her granny, already sick, weak, and hardly does anything to give them the comfort and direction in life. Ama was traumatized and could hardly sleep until she mustered courage one day to take responsibility for her own life, maybe to end the cycle of poverty in her family. She set off to Accra, uncertain about the terrain and the sharp difference compared to the poor village where you don't pay for access to unit, for example. She arrived at one of the busiest terminals, Kanishi, one hot afternoon and observed patiently. And her first ordeal began after meeting the supposed savior, a man.
Toying baby meat pie for Accra meat pie fee. Tia bear no yin by yammy no guani jam, no come on one. So come on one muko winba, Namco win a masame chimba.
The yogurt and donut seller had noticed she was Abba fresh, literally meaning someone who had just arrived, had no clue about city life and very vulnerable. Her supposed helper wanted to help her settle down, but little did she know she was a prey, someone cheap enough to satisfy his sexual desire. For months, Ama Nyaniba'S lived with this man in one of the small huts at Kanishi. Days, weeks and months passed, no money to live on her own. She was subjected to abuse in the name of genuine affection, and soon she became pregnant. How was she going to tell her story? She never knew the background of this man. And bitter as it was, staying under his roof was still a painful option.
Say, Menana so, I say, number bregunoso. Into on to me shame no banan count. Until Mrs. Adam Bankan, my boy shade me be near my can't come some lash.
As if she was destined to suffer, Ama soon realized things were not going to improve. This was after her pregnancy began to pop out. Her man abandoned her.
Oh, do Kofoka. Or Dio got this cacan meets by Sakan or this can yard quite. The police for by so my bache. Me, what am I just say? Me, Scanian, my common can or walk a discat. No one of walking in same person to meet him. Namadam Luco Winneba.
She had no place to lay her head and eventually returned home full of disgrace, regret, and pain. But has she learnt lessons? Ama made a second attempt. 18 then, she began by selling toffees and other consumables with a startup capital of 50 cedis. And yet another trouble. Her 11-month-old daughter fell very ill. Death was staring at her, and there was no option. Medical bills drained all her capital. But Ama had learnt a bitter lesson and was poised to move on. She joined young girls her age selling cold sachet water on the streets. The commission was enough to keep her going, but this did not go with surprises.
Let me give you just 50 cedis so I can have sex with you.
No, I will not agree.
It was a bright Saturday morning, September 27, 2014. My car had developed a fault. For the first time, I decided to accompany my mechanic to Abosokai, home of vehicle spare parts in Accra. This was where I met Amma. She was sweating, tired from the heavy load on her head and the baby at her back. She had not made sales since morning. Surprisingly, as I got to know later, traders along the lane had vowed not to buy from teenage mothers. Why? The response was very intriguing as I eavesdropped. This prompted me to film with my smartphone and share Amma's ordeal with you. Hear this.
Amma, if you want to make sales, then you have to leave your baby before hawking. Here we only buy from single girls. That's true, Amma. Just do it.
Amma can only make good sales if she leaves her baby behind. I could feel the disappointment through her eyes. She was buried in her thoughts as I trailed her to show me where she passes the night after the day's toil. I followed up 2 days later, September 29. It was 10 p.m. I was struck by the spectacle. Poor mother, sexually abused and abandoned, now left to survive under such harsh conditions. 5 minutes past 10 o'clock in the evening, and this is Kanishi. It's one of the stations at Kanishi, but for Amma and her 11-month-old daughter is their home after these stores have closed for the day. As I take you to where Amma and her daughter sleeps every day when she comes back from work after her hectic job, and that's her daughter that you can see, and this is Amma. Amma, it's saying.
I tell you, pure man my blow because it's yeah, it's true baby issue. Bianca sound, Baboton sa, Betchin sa.
Her nightmares are when the weather changes, forced to sleep with her baby clucked to her chest while standing upright during downpours. I was devastated as I listened to her.
Oh, I am, madam.
Oh, how?
I am Musufa, I am Mr. Young. I'm born, I'm Musudachi, Musumansa.
How do you mean? What you're saying?
Say, Musuminia baby pa, Musumi, Neduma marking, on bloom.
Amma is not asking for much. She wants to be empowered. A vocational training and a better place to lay her head is all she's asking for.
Me, come say, come pace company, my shade, my shade teller. The sisters come here, maybe so neat, like me as Caposa, Tom Yamanada. Come here, Pum de see, they be my was snada, that my friend you promote me the Gash and Akush. The much may name this she made me.
But Amma gave me another perspective to life. She was unfazed by the storms in her own world. Perhaps too much for a single lady. She was determined, a never-say-die spirit. As I left Amma, I felt humbled and grateful for his blessings. But I kept wondering, if only we could all be each other's keeper. This world, as the late Michael Jackson rightly put it, will be a better place to live. Amma's story reminds me of some of the most powerful quotes I have come to cherish. Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about the things that matter. Martin Luther King Jr. And like John F. Kennedy, the 35th U.S. president once said, if the free society cannot help the many who are poor, they cannot help the few who are rich. Another powerful statement, right? Think about it deeply, and perhaps let all play a role, no matter how small, to rid our mother Ghana of vulnerable people like 19-year-old Amma Nyaniba'S. Reporting for Metro News, Ignatius Ano, Kanishi, Accra.
Very sad, heart-touching story of Amma Nyaniba'S. There are lots of them out there, you know. Until you see them, you will never know. Now.